Let's take a look at the grid then for our senior pre-final. Piers Lehane, the driver on pole position. He's been incredibly quick all weekend, and the driver who finished 6th in the Euro Challenge last year. Despite 1 or 2 dramas along the way, he's out for the title this year. He wants to begin the year with Winter Cup success. He starts from pole position with his new team, Strawberry Racing. Rinus van Kalmthout, on his senior debut, the former junior racer, has qualified on the front row of the grid. He's been really impressive, the TKP driver, here so far this weekend. So that's the front row, numbers 206 and 219. On row number 2, Richard Verschoor, looking very impressive as well. He was one of the heat winners yesterday, juniors last year, and the junior championship runner-up in the Euro Challenge. He's in kart 227. Sam Marsh, number 232, had a very solid day yesterday and has come through to qualify 4th on the grid. Sten Doran Pirmaggi, likewise, going well all through the day yesterday. He's 5th on the grid in karts 237. Dennis Mavlanoff, number 236, lines up in 6th place. Then on the 4th row of the grid, we've got the 2 Joshes who seem to have been tied together for a lot of the weekend. Josh Price and Josh White. They line up 7th and 8th. Price is in kart 214. White is in kart 213. And then completing the top 10, Brett Ward, kart number 207 on Twitter. More good luck messages coming in for him. You can do it, Brett, from Nan back in Hayes. Lots of luck, lots of love and good luck from Nan back in Hayes, watching Brett Ward, whose day started badly yesterday, but he went really well in the last hit to come through the order into 2nd place. And that helped him get into the top 10 in qualifying for this pre-final. So number 207 is 9th, Oliver Askew, number 241, the American driver in 10th. And then at row 6 we've got Gary Donnelly. Gary Donnelly qualified on pole at the end of Friday, but a bit of a miscommunication meant that he wasn't allowed to start the first race. He had his tyres on the wrong way around, so Gary Donnelly had to fight through the order after that. They're still done quite well really to be 11th on the grid and should come through. Jakamati Paulin is alongside 12th on the grid. And then row 7, Zach Clement de Mayo. He had a similar problem to Gary Donnelly in his last heat, otherwise he'd have been a lot higher up the grid as well. So Clement de Mayo and his Strawberry teammate Gary Donnelly, watch them coming through. Shane Daly is 14th on the grid. On row 8 we've got Ed Brand and Tommy Pryning. Ed Brand and his teammate at CRG, Harry Webb, really struggling with the setup here this weekend. 2 very, very good drivers who haven't got the pace that they really deserve just yet. Let's see what they can do today. Tommy Pryning, last year's junior champion, alongside. And then we are going to start the race now, so I can't have time to give you any more as we charge into turn 1 for the first time with Piers Lehane making a textbook start to the race there. Lovely start from him, right through he goes. Rinus van Kalmthout has slotted into 2nd place as well from the outside of that row, so he did well to get back across safely and cleanly through. And they're making their way up towards turn 7 already. It looks like, I think Richard Verschoor has gone through up to 3rd place. Confirm that when they come back down to us. I think Dorian Pirmaggi is in the top 4 as well by the looks of things. Let's have a look as they come past the commentary box. The race leader, no doubt about it, is Piers Lehane. Indeed it is Rinus van Kalmthout in 2nd place, Richard Verschoor 3rd, so that was right. 4th place does indeed look like Pirmaggi as he comes through, and he's trying to fend off the 5th place kart, which is going to be Sam Marsh, isn't it? No, it's not. It's Mavlanoff in 5th place. 6th place is White. Down to 7th has gone Sam Marsh through the first half of the lap. Already, though, the leader coming up to the end of lap number 1. 10 laps to go. 1 ticked off. Race leader is Piers Lehane, and he's got himself a rather healthy cushion of 0.7 of a second. Pretty big twitch there from 4th place man Pirmaggi going through turn 2. He almost lost it. Had to fight the wheel. Somehow he hangs on to his position though in 4th place, but he had a big moment on the exit to turn 1 and the run into turn 2, hanging on to 4th place. Mavlanoff right behind him in 5th, Josh White 6th, 7th at the end of lap number 1 Oliver Askew, 8th Sam Marsh, 9th Josh Price, Jakamati Paulin up to 10th, Gary Donnelly up to 11th, Zach Clement de Mayo 11th, Shane Daly 12th, Brett Ward down to 14th, and 15th place for Ed Brand. Charging up the hill into the right-hander at turn number 11 is our race leader Piers Lehane. He is on a pair of rails this weekend. I don't think I've seen put a wheel wrong so far. It's just so ultra smooth around this circuit, and he really has smoothed out his driving style. As he said in the interview at the end of pole position yesterday, that's how you drive this circuit. He's certainly capable of chucking it around when he needs to, Piers, but he's driving it nice and tidily here, and it's working for him. barely moving the wheel, it seems. Body movement is minimal as well. Just looks like he's sat there completely relaxed. Van Kalmthout and Verschoor, second and third, looking very solid. And we've got number 223 getting a black flag. That's just come up on screen. So number 223, Max Timmermans, the Belgian junior driver, has just come up to seniors, getting a black flag. So he is off for the time being. He's going to be starting from the back of the final. Our race leader is 1 second clear now. Van Kalmthout still second. Verschoor still third. No change there. Denis Mavlanov, he got quicker and quicker as the day went on yesterday, particularly in his final heat. He's there in fourth place. Fifth place is Pirmagi, and then sixth is Josh White, with Oliver Askew just behind her to change for second now at turn 12. Richard Verschoor gets ahead of Rinus Van Kalmthout. Mavlanov with the green helmet comes onto the tail of both of them. Pirmagi not far back either. And then I think we've got Oliver Askew next, who's got ahead of Josh White. No, Josh White's still there. In fact, Askew's dropped back down to 10th place. He's lost about 3 positions. And Gary Donnelly into the top 10 now in 9th place. He's just behind Sam Marsh. It's almost going to be a move here for 3rd place. Does he get through? He does. As Denis Mavlanov, who's just made a move at turn 4 to get ahead of Rinus Van Kalmthout. So that will put him up to 3rd place. Van Kalmthout down to 4th. Josh White is 5th. Josh Price is 6th. They've both got ahead now of Stendoran Pirmagi, who's lost a few positions in the last couple of laps. And right behind him then is Gary Donnelly, the Irish driver, looking to get up the inside and gain another place if he can. But the one running wide just in front of them was Rinus Van Kalmthout on the way through turn 10. So it's Rinus now losing a couple of positions. That puts him down to 6th place. And with a think, Sam Marshall, Gary Donnelly right on his tail as he went down the back straight. Van Kalmthout out wide again through turn 13 as he tries to get back onto the racing line. So Van Kalmthout with a disappointing lap there. 7 to go for our race leader, Piers Lehane. The Australian is 2.5 seconds clear. He won one of the races yesterday by 5 seconds. Richard Verschoor has just done a personal best lap, but he's still slower than Piers Lehane. So the gap opening up. We've got Denis Mavlanov, followed by Josh White and Josh Price in the battle for 3rd place, so 3rd, 4th and 5th. In fact, White has pulled away from Price now. Price is more concerned with keeping Pirmagi and Donnelly behind him. We've got Brett Ward back into the top 10 as well. He's up to 8th place. Rinus Van Kalmthout 9th. So he dropped down the top 10 as I described. And 10th now is Zach Clement de Mayo. Marsh 11th, Askew 12th, Shane Daly 13th, Ed Brand 14th. Tommy Pryning, last year's junior champion, still stuck in the middle of the field. Well, there's no contest for the race lead at the moment. In a world of his own is Piers Lehane. It's fairly tight for 2nd, very tight for 4th place. There are 5 of them gunning for 4th position. There's about to be 8 of them, I think. There's going to be a long snake of them coming through the S-Bend section and back onto the start-finish straight. Head down for the leader of that pack, which is Josh Price, number 214, hanging on to 4th place. Josh White is now behind him. And then another 5 carts, all within about a second of each other. Bit of a gap back then, and you've got Shane Daly leading the next group of carts with Oliver Askew and Ed Brand right behind. Ed Brand seems to be able to improve the cart as the weekend's gone along. His teammate Harry Webb hasn't improved quite so much for some reason. The junior and senior champion and Winter Cup winner Harry Webb a couple of years ago, having a really difficult start to his tenure with CRG here this weekend. 229 he's out of the race and off the track. So that's Yakamati Paulin, I'm afraid, who started pretty well, who's not going to finish this one and will be at the back of the field. Piers Lehane's advantage is 2.7 seconds. Not pulling away quite so much anymore, but still looking very, very comfortable. 2nd is Verschoor, 3rd is Mavlanov. And then this long train of carts for 4th place. Price, White, Donnelly, Pirmagi, Ward, Van Kalmthout, de Mayo, all in that battle. We've got 5 laps to go still. And we've got the final to look forward to this afternoon as well. And the senior class, with probably the exception of Piers Lehane, there is not very much between anybody inside the top 10 or 12, really. Lehane's certainly had the edge, although Gary Donnelly was able to better him in the Friday qualifying session. Denis Mavlanov is now getting closer and closer to the tail of Richard Verschoor in the battle for 2nd. They come out of turn 9 and go down the straight towards the hairpin at 10. Then you've got fourth place Josh Price. You've got Gary Donnelly now in between the two Joshes. So the 16-year-old Irish karting champion in kart number 240 is up into fifth place. Down to sixth has gone Josh White. Brett Ward is into seventh place. He continues to make good progress as Josh Price runs out wide, because down the inside of him had come Gary Donnelly into turn 12, and it's going to cost him 2 more places. Josh Price loses through 3 places through turns 12 and 13. He didn't make a mistake. It was just that Gary Donnelly squeezed at the inside. Price had no choice but to run out wide, and then he lost a couple of other places on the exit to the corner. So Gary Donnelly with that move up to fourth place now. Josh White and Brett Ward went up to fifth and sixth, and Josh Price down to seventh position. Piramagi 8th, Van Kalmthout 9th, and DeMeo 10th. No changes there. Shane Daly's dropped a few positions on that lap. Something went wrong for him. He's down to 17th place. Otherwise relatively static in the middle of the pack. Pierce Lahane doesn't have the fastest lap of the race. That belongs to Brett Ward. Brett got 3 fastest laps in his final heat yesterday. He's still a threat for this title here in the Winter Cup, especially if he can get himself on the first 2 or 3 rows of the grid. He's now trying to go around the outside of Josh White on the way into turn 11. Doesn't work, but he's got another chance now as they go down the straight into turn 12 with the blue colour scheme. Brett Ward down the inside. Tidy move. He picks up the place and he continues this excellent progress that he's been making. So Josh White having to concede, the teenager from Ilkley in Yorkshire. And Brett Ward now finds himself in the top 5. 3 laps to go. Can those two work together to gain any more places in this race? Possibly not, because Gary Donnelly's suddenly a long way up the road. In fact, Gary Donnelly is flying now that he's got through the traffic. 65.696. He's about 2 or 3 tenths of a second quicker than the drivers ahead of him. There's a huge pack now all queued up going through to turn 7. We've got one off as well from inside that top 10 group, and all round about, and it's 216 that's gone off. That was Thomas Drouet, the French driver. He's just in the middle of the pack, just outside the top 10, I think, when he went off. But a huge fight going on here for 5th position. Piramagi's got back to the head of the group. And then you've got Clement DeMeo, who's made a couple of places up in that melee as well. He's up into the top 6 now. We've still got Verschoor hanging on to second place, but not exactly a comfortable run this. He's had Mavlin off with him all the way through the race, and Gary Donnelly might be beginning to fly after them now as well. Down they go, 2 laps to go. Brett Ward's trying another move, this time into turn 1, and it works. He gains a place back, so Brett Ward getting himself back up into the top 6 with a move on Zach Clement DeMeo, the multiple Canadian champion. So Brett into 6th place. Piramagi is just ahead, so the best Brett could hope for is 5th place. If he can get 5th, it will get him the inside line for the start of the final. So it could be a crucial battle, this. See who starts on the inside and who starts on the outside of row 3. I think we know who's going to start on the inside of row 1. Pierce Lahane is now 3.3 seconds clear. He's down at turn 10, followed by the second place scrap between Verschoor and Mavlinov. Gary Donnelly is still about 2 tenths quicker than them, but he's not yet with that little battle. Brett Ward has got to the head of the next group. Now he's in 5th place, ahead of Piramagi. DeMeo is behind them inside the top 6 as well. So really good little scrap going on between those 3. They've changed positions a couple of times already on this lap. 1 to go though for Pierce Lahane, driving so maturely here this weekend. He's got better and better as the seasons have gone on. Now it considers himself one of the more experienced senior drivers out there, and it's showing. Always had the raw pace, not always had the best of luck. His racecraft is getting better and better as well. He doesn't really need the racecraft this weekend because he's been at the front and on his own a lot of the time. He's just got the pace around here. So through for the final time he goes turn 9. 2nd and 3rd making their way onto the mid-straight as well, for sure, looking over his shoulder. Still with the eyes of Denis Mavlinov staring into the back of his neck. Gary Donnelly on his own in 4th. Brett Ward still heading that next group in 5th. Van Kalmthout's come back through that pack as well. He's up to 6th place now. It's Will to Will for 7th. Going through that turn 11, and Zach Clement DeMeo gets the inside line to move ahead of Piramagi and become the 3rd one in that group. So that'll put him just outside the top 6. The checkered flag is being readied, and it's going to be Pierce Lahane that will take it next time around as our race winner. In fact, it's gone through now. The graphic a little bit late coming up, but Piers Lehane has taken the flag with the fastest personal lap of the race. Did his best lap there on the very last lap of the race, Piers Lehane. 65.594. Mavlanov second, Verschoor third, Gary Donnelly fourth, Brett Ward in fifth, Rinus van Kamphout recovered to sixth, Clement de Mayo seventh, Sten Dorian Peremaggi eighth, so there were no changes to the last few corners. Ninth was Josh Bryce and 10th was Sam Marsh, with 11th place going to Josh White. And in 12th place, with the fastest lap of the race, right at the end, was Thomas Pryning with a 65.406. So Tommy Pryning, I think, stuck in battles for a lot of that race, but there you can see just squeezed into the top 12. And he also set the fastest lap of the race. Oliver Askew just outside the top 12 in 13th place. Joel de Push and Alessandro Trombelli inside the top 15 as well. Ed Brand fell back a bit at the end. I suspect it was his racecraft that got him on the fringes of the top 10. Starsen ultimately got the pace, so down to 16th for him. Harry Webb, 19th position. And it tells you what sort of weekend Harry's had to say that 19th is actually one of his better results this weekend. But Harry Webb struggling with the equipment this weekend. Michael Cool rounding out the top 20. And one or two disappointments there who will have to start at the back of the field. Max Timmermans disqualified, Luca Nipfer, Jakomati Paulin and Luke Velelms all failed to finish the race. But on pole position, continuing where he left off yesterday with another victory, is Piers Lehane. Denis Mavlanov got through to second right at the end and just pipped actually over the line Richard Verschoor by 1/10 of a second, so he'll be second. Richard won't be too displeased about that though, and he may have even let Dennis go to make sure he's on the inside line. He'll be starting third on the grid, with Gary Donnelly completing the top four when we get to the final this afternoon. So Piers Lehane, our winner, and we've still got lots to look forward to. We're going to have a break from the commentary and from RGMMC TV, but we will be having lots more racing to come, and I'll tell you about that